Hi class, let's talk about the COVID pandemic and crime rates. When you read the text for the class, you see that there have been steadily declining crime rates since the mid-1990s. There was an important exception to this, and that is that violent crime increased noticeably during the COVID pandemic. The Council on Criminal Justice and the Arnold Venture commissioned the distinguished criminologist Richard Rosenfeld to take a closer look at crime rates during the COVID pandemic. They used police data to examine 10 different offenses across 34 American cities. This figure shows that homicide rates in the 39 cities increased 20% from 2019 to 2020. Homicide rates increased again by 24% from 2019 to 2020. If we examine the rate of homicide by month, we find that homicide rates peaked in July 2020. This represented 1,268 more homicides than the previous year. You can also see a steady decline in homicides after that July 2020 peak. Aggravated assaults are in many cases uncompleted homicides. They follow a similar pattern as homicide rates during the pandemic. And gun assaults follow a similar pattern during the pandemic. This figure provides more context. It includes other violent crimes. We see that the pandemic did not seem to impact sexual assaults, domestic violence, or robbery rates. There were significantly higher rates of carjackings during the pandemic. All right, so think back to this time in our shared history. What could have led to the spike in violent crime? You get to be the criminologist. Take 10 to 15 minutes and speculate on the reasons. Pause this video and post your responses in the discussion board below. Come back to the video when you are done. All right, so what caused the increase in violence? Richard Rosenfeld and his colleagues have come up with the following explanations for the increase. First, he talks about how at-risk populations were under additional physical, mental, emotional, and financial stress during this time. The pandemic also strained institutions that respond to violence, such as the police, courts, emergency services, hospitals, and community-based groups that productively engage at-risk individuals. The research on violence reduction tells us that proactive outreach to at-risk populations and places is the most effective approach. Violence interruption programs have spread throughout the nation's major cities and are a popular and effective approach to reducing urban violence. All right, so it is critically important to point out that these explanations for the pandemic crime wave are speculative. Okay, they are not facts. We do not know with any certainty as to why the pandemic seemed to lead to an increase in violence. This figure shows the overall violent and property crime rates from the early 1990s. Within the red box at the tail end, that is the pandemic-related increase in violence. Those little bumps. So we need to look at the pandemic-related violence in the greater context of overall crime rates. Violent crime is a serious social problem with tremendous costs to the system and crime victims. But we need to look at the data in a responsible way. we need to dig deeper into the actual incidents during this period and learn how to prevent them in the future.